did this and that, then I loved myself, but there were parts of me that I felt were unlovable.
Hi everyone, Elle Ballard is here with you today, and I have our other guest with us today. She's wearing her beautiful costume. Hi, Misty, welcome.
Hi, Elle. Thanks for having me today.
Absolutely. Thank you for taking the time to talk. I know it's going to be great. I'm excited. Before we jump on, let me introduce Misty first. Misty is a master makeup artist, a weight loss advisor, and self-love mentor. Her journey began as a student selling Mary Kay cosmetics to put herself through college and support her family. Along the way, she discovered her passion for helping women transform inside and out. Despite achieving success in her career, she struggled with her own weight until she found that diets don't work, but lifestyle changes do. This realization led her to the top 2% of her company and a mission to help others shed pounds and gain confidence. However, her own journey towards self-love was the most profound transformation of all. In 2020, Misty hit a low point and embarked on a spiritual self-love journey, healing addiction and finding inner fulfillment. Now she empowers women to discover their worth beyond appearances as she did. This is so beautiful. And there's a line I want to read here that Misty shares is join me in embracing self-love and manifesting a life that exceeds your wildest dreams. I love it. I love it, love it, love it. So welcome again, Misty. I know I shared a little bit of your story, but I still like to ask what led to really, staying with the work you've been doing, and why are you so passionate about it?
Yeah, so I was a makeup artist for the last 20 years, and I just love helping women transform. I love having, teaching a woman how to apply makeup and bringing out her natural beauty, and just seeing her genuine authentic smile when she sees herself in the mirror, and when she's feeling confident to take a selfie. And it just is the paycheck of the heart. It really just makes me feel great. So it's such a win. And I was able to then do that with weight loss and, help even more women transform. I lost 65 pounds on a program, and that was 8 years ago. And the best part was I've been able to keep it off for 8 years, because like I said, I realized that anyone can lose weight doing any diet, and you really do have to find what for you. But the problem is a diet is like an end date, a start date and an end date, where you have to find something that's going to be sustainable, something that you can incorporate into your lifestyle, that will work for you so that you don't go back to your old habit and regain that weight. And, through intermittent fasting, and portion control. And really, I follow an 80-20 rule. 80% of the time, I eat well. 20% of the time, I eat whatever I want, and, nothing's off limit. I don't believe that you should, have a list of things that you can't eat. You can eat anything that you want. You just have to do it smart, use portion control, and don't overindulge, and don't make it a regular habit. So I incorporated those tactics into my lifestyle, and I was really able to maintain the weight loss through it. And then right before the pandemic hit, I was kind of feeling frustrated. The outside looked great, but the inside was a mess. I just
Yeah.
felt unfulfilled and unhappy. I was searching externally.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
And you've probably heard before, happiness is an inside job. And I had heard it before too, but it wasn't until, that point that I really started to think about what that meant and what that looked like for me. I always thought that I loved myself because, on the outside, I liked the way I looked in the mirror. But what I didn't realize was there's a difference between self-love and unconditional self-love.
Mm-hmm.
And unfortunately, mine was conditional. If I had my makeup done, if I, had kept the
Mm-hmm.
weight off,
Yeah.
if I did this and that, then I loved myself. But there were parts of me that I felt were unlovable.
Mm-hmm.
And I was trying to avoid those parts.
Yeah.
and that led to self-sabotaging, unhealthy habit. And, for some people, it's emotional eating, retail therapy, alcohol or drugs. Most people have a vice that they go to. And during the pandemic, that was really brought out for me. And for a lot of people, not being able to socialize as a very social person was extremely difficult. And
Hmm.
uh, as a type A personality, having no control over what was going on in the world was just really hard for me. And I realized that the only thing I can control is myself and my mindset. And I had to kind of dig deep and get radically honest with myself and others. I went through a really bad breakup at that time, and
Wow.
uh, I hadn't realized I was in a toxic relationship. It got to a point where I didn't recognize myself anymore. And some of the behaviors that I was exhibiting, it was like, unfortunately, the relationship was bringing out the worst in me. And I was in denial for a long time.
Yeah.
And when the relationship ended, I was heartbroken and devastated and at a real low point. And I recognized that I had to give myself that love that I wasn't getting from this person.
Yeah.
Give myself that validation.
Hmm.
And, I had to set boundaries. And one of my favorite sayings is we teach people how to treat us.
Yeah.
And that starts with you and how you treat yourself.
Mm.
So that energy that I was putting into that toxic relationship, I really kind of turned it inward and started focusing on myself and just understanding, I started doing research, really understanding why I was the way I was. I found that I had codependency issues. I had abandonment issues.
Mm.
Reading about other people that had the same things and understanding coping mechanisms and attachment styles really helped me a lot. And it really just led me on this journey of self-love and self-acceptance,
Hmm.
fully embracing myself, flaws and all, the good, the bad, the
Yeah.
ugly, and having no regrets, recognizing that, everything led up to this point.
Yeah, that's beautiful. I love your
Thank
story. Thank you for sharing that. It's such a great awareness when you understand what's actually when you get to that point where you actually understand what's holding us back, right? And how it's all connected.
ourselves and we're keeping ourselves stuck. Dealing with this heartbreak felt like it was never going to end, and I had to recognize that it wasn't going to end until I ended it.
Yeah.
I was in control of that, and I could keep myself in that victim mentality and stay stuck in that pain,
Hmm.
or I could acknowledge that there were lessons that needed to be learned, that this needed to happen. I had to go through this in order to realize my self-worth, in order to realize what I didn't want in a relationship.
Yeah.
And, I had to also own my part in that toxic relationship. I chose
Right.
to stay for 5 years, and I chose to let someone treat me poorly.
Yeah.
And I had to own that.
Yeah.
And that was difficult, but empowering when I did.
Hmm. Yeah. And I love the whole connection to the inside and outside because it's so true. Sometimes it's almost like a mask, but the inside is, like you said, is a mess. So I think is having this fully and embodying this full connection of inside and outside, how we show up in the world. It's so powerful once we get to that point.
And for a little while, though, I felt like I was living a double life because outside, I looked like I had it all together. I looked the part. And inside, though, I just had this God-sized hole,
Yeah.
this void that I was trying to fill in so many different ways that, I didn't realize until I came across the self-love journey that the only way to fill this void was through self-love.
Yeah. Yeah. Beautiful.
And the outside is so superficial, I mean, it's great to do your hair and makeup and it's
Yeah.
great to lose weight and look great. And if that helps you feel great, I'm all for that. But if you don't have the inside right, the
Yeah.
outside is really not going to matter.
Mm-mm. No. Mm-mm. Yeah. Yeah, so well said. Love that journey. That's transformation, really, the whole transformation that you went through. And you've been building your business for a long time, only that it's been kind of upgrading
Evolving.
itself and
It's
evolving.
been transforming. Yes.
Transforming, yeah, going through transformation. And in this journey of building your own business as a woman, what was your biggest lesson in really like you achieving all this, you know, the goals that you were after? What was your biggest lesson?
My biggest lesson was when I help enough people get what they want, then I will get what I want. Really just
Uh,
having that servant
yeah,
mindset, I feel like, we as humans are all put in this world to help each other in one way or another. And I was happiest when I was helping people.
yeah.
And the more people I helped, the more successful I was, and the better I felt about it.
Mhm. Yeah, I love that. I love that. I think for us women it's so important because we are nurturers at heart. You know, when we help someone, right, we really fill our own cups as well through that interaction. I love that. It's beautiful, beautiful
But
lesson.
talking about filling your cup, though, kind of reminds me that you have to fill your own cup first. And when
Uh,
I'm working with my clients, often I'll remind them, you got to put your oxygen mask on first,
yeah.
before you save someone else. And I think in today's society, we as women, we were raised to help other people and put other people first, and be caregivers
Mm,
and take care of everybody. But the most important person that you need to take care of is yourself first. And, self-care is never selfish. And that sometimes has to be relearned,
yeah.
after years of taking care of other people, and taking care of yourself last, it doesn't feel right to take
Yeah.
care of it. It does feel selfish. So you really have to learn and understand the mindset that, I always like that saying, when mom's happy, everyone's happy. Because it's
Oh,
true.
it's true.
If you are right, you are going to be able to help so many other people,
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. I love that. I cannot agree with you more. Yeah, so definitely. Yeah, creating this whatever I think we just spoke about it actually on our podcast last week and on our Facebook live about, you know, finding these ways of celebrating yourself, whatever that is, or things and doing things like bring you joy.
Yeah.
And I was giving an example of having a photo session. So for me, just being in a having a photo session with a photographer that you really connect with the music, and it's just so empowering. And I love doing things like that, or even like as simple as a massage, regular massage. It's so awesome.
Yeah, photo shoots are great. Really, for that's a great thing for women empowerment. I mean, I like to do makeup for the photo session, so I get to kind of be a part of the process.
Yeah.
But I would strongly encourage every woman, if you have not already done a photo shoot, do a photo shoot. And the reason is because you're worth it and you deserve it. You don't need to wait for a special occasion. Just do it for yourself. And it doesn't matter if no one else sees the photos but you.
Yeah.
There's they're still yours, and you will feel so beautiful and just so filled. It is an amazing experience, and you really don't understand it until you do it.
That's true. Yeah, and it just came to my mind, especially, you know, something like a lingerie photo shoot. That's taking it one step further, right? But
Yeah.
I love it. I love it. Beautiful. So we are speaking on Empowered Global Women in Business podcast, and so which is part of Women of the World Network. And I always like to ask that question because we are all women of the world. What does it mean for you to be a woman of the world?
For me, a woman of the world, we're all a part of each other. We all came from the same source, and we were all created equally, and all women are beautiful, and all women come in every shape and size and color, and none of that matters because, again, that's superficial. That's what's on the outside, but we're all created the same on the inside. We all bleed the same, and there's unity in that.
That's so beautiful.
Thank you.
Thank you for sharing. Okay, so before we jump into the rapid fire questions, can you tell our listeners how to find you? And by the way, we will post all the links for Misty, how to connect with Misty on the recording, both on YouTube and podcast as well. But yes, if you could share how they can find you as well.
Yeah, absolutely. We just launched our new website, MistyLaBoy.com, and it's LABOY, MISTY, LABOY.com. And I invite you to take a self-love quiz on there. And you can learn a little, I think it's important that you learn more about yourself, learn the most about yourself that you possibly can. And this quiz will kind of help shed some light on some areas that maybe you need to focus on your own self-love journey. But I am also on social media on Facebook and Instagram, Misty LaBoy. You can just search my name. But yeah, I offer a coaching program, a self-love coaching program, and as well as makeup lessons and weight loss advice as well.
I love that. Beautiful. I love the self-love. So needed self-love program. Okay, beautiful. Thank you for sharing, Misty. And so my last kind of final part of this conversation is the rapid fire questions. Now we go through. I have 5 of them. And are you ready?
Yes, I think so.
Okay, so the first one is your favorite book name is?
The Untethered Soul was probably, that's a more recent book that I read that I really, really enjoyed. I really resonated with it.
Beautiful. Love it. Okay, beach or mountains?
I'm a lake girl because I feel like you get the best of both worlds. A lot
Yeah.
of lakes at the beach and the
And the
mountains.
mountains, yeah. I love it. Favorite international destination to visit?
Favorite. So I just was on a trip, a solo trip to Paris, France in September for my birthday. And that trip was an unbelievable experience. I mean, the food, the culture, the architecture, the art, everything. It was so beautiful. It was such an amazing experience. If you have never been to Paris, France, I highly recommend it.
Yeah. Okay, I love it. I love Paris. Summer or winter?
Definitely summer. I'm in the Philadelphia area in the United States, and it's unseasonably warm today. I think we're 78 degrees today and for
Oh,
November that's almost unheard of. But I wish it could stay like that year round.
yeah. Yeah. Come visit California in the
Yeah.
early summer.
Definitely.
Okay. And the last question is things that you have discovered about yourself recently.
Things that I've discovered about myself. Boundaries are so important. It kind of goes back to we teach people how to treat us. Setting boundaries is one of the most important things to do. And as a people pleaser, a former people pleaser, I really didn't have boundaries, and that was very stressful. So setting boundaries and also saying yes to the things that I want to do and saying no to the things that I don't, that has made such a huge difference in my life. And releasing the guilt
Yeah.
and, that obligation and learning that no is a complete sentence.
Yeah.
You don't want an explanation, it's just no.
Yeah. That's beautiful. Well, thank you for playing. Thank you for sharing. I love that. Boundaries, yes. Yeah, definitely can relate as well. Well, with that, I want to thank you again, Misty, for taking the time to speak with me today. So nice to meet you and connect with you and speak with you. And for all listeners, again, we'll post all the links. Please connect with Misty. She's doing amazing work. And I
Thank
love
you.
how you practice what you preach, right? Like you went to Paris
Yeah,
for your birthday.
absolutely.
Self-love. I just
Yeah.
want to do this solo trip. I love it.
Yeah, and it was my first time like going somewhere solo, so that was really a big deal. Like there was a lot of fear and anxiety that came up, and even some self-sabotaging that I was able to recognize. And but it was very empowering.
Yeah.
I kind of was thinking, well, I should have started with going to the beach for a weekend first by myself instead of 8 days internationally. But go big or go
International.
home. Yeah.
I love it. Beautiful, beautiful. Well, thank you again, Misty. And yeah, have a great weekend. Happy
Yes, you
Halloween.
too. Happy Halloween. Take care.
Thank you. Bye.